Wonderful. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining. We'll kick off this Mailchimp Ideas cohort office hour session with a great presentation. Thanks to everyone that's joining and everyone that's going to watch the recording later. We do have Shire Lyon Ads. She has 13 years experience in the industry, and then with 6 years in business with Shire Ads. Really great partner, strong partner, and excited to kick this off with you today. So I'll give you the floor, Shire, and we'll take it away.
Great. So hi everyone, and welcome to the Decode Your Audience DNA. This is really the culmination of some work I've done for a while now. It's part of a proprietary audit that I do called the Audience DNA audit, which really helps you reduce wasted time, ad spend, and craft a targeted approach to your marketing. It helps you increase your conversions, helps you align your messaging. And the important thing, we have competition, we have AI, we have all these things in the market. You need to be talking to someone, not everyone. So this really helps with that. So to get started, there's a workbook at shirelion.com/decode your audience DNA. Here, the link is right here. I'll drop it in the chat for anyone who's here. And the password is audience DNA, capital A in the audience and all capitals in the DNA. So you can go ahead and download that notebook and you will be able to follow along. We'll kind of stop periodically so you can look at that a little bit. But the goal is to walk away with a little bit of actionable data and a whole lot of ideas. So what we're going to do today is we're going to clarify your offer and your positioning in your head. Then we'll define your ideal customers' traits, behaviors, their emotional drivers. We'll think about, how they really make decisions. And then the last part is we'll align your funnel and your messaging to match that journey. We'll kind of map out, how many steps to that conversion does it take? And the goal is to have you walk away with 3 concrete targeting insights, behaviors, something that you can go implement right away. So at the beginning here, and this is the beginning of the workbook, it's really about your business. So before you can decode anything about your audience, you need to think about yourself and what you do. Your brand is a lot more than the services you offer. So in this worksheet, and what we're going to think about right now is what product or service are you promoting? And what does that service do for someone? How does it help them? What is their feeling when they're buying it? For instance, someone who's buying home security system, they're not buying that home security system. They're buying the feeling that it gives them, like the feeling of safety, security, protecting their family. There's all this emotion that's built up in that. And then the second part is what's your average customer value, lifetime, average order value, whatever you collect. So this works a lot better if you collect all this data in your CRM. But if you don't, you can start some simple calculations even today, like go down your client list, how much have they spent, average it out, in the past year, how long have people been with you? Just calculate some basics here so that when you're setting out all of your marketing, you're really thinking about what's valuable, who's valuable, and why. Um, and then, how are you currently generating leads? Where do they come from? And do you have a predictable method? Because if you have one, then you can take more of that data to make everything better. If you haven't established that yet, that's where we have to start. And the last one, what's your biggest marketing challenge? Usually most people tell me leads. If you were to ask me, that's my same challenge. So we're all in the same boat. But there's probably other things like what are you not good at? What do you think you need to be better at? Think about all of those things. Um, so this is where we'll take a pause for a minute so you can just think about that. Um, and then we'll go back to some more thoughts about how to move this forward.
We did lose our audience member. Rosalind did drop, so maybe she'll come
Yeah.
back. She's been in and out. Maybe some connection issues with her, but she usually does join and has a ton of questions. So we'll keep going.
All right. So your ideal customer profile. Now we're going to build that buyer blueprint. I can't tell you how important your client avatar really is. Not because it's important to the outside world, but it's important to you. Having someone to talk to when you do marketing makes much more sense in your head than just this, you know, proverbial kind of whoever. Um, Everything that you build, you want it to be emotionally resonant. So when you break down the parts of a person, it makes it much easier for you to be successful. So on your worksheet, you're going to start sketching out this ideal customer. The first thing you're going to think about is their demographics, their age, gender, location. Keep in mind, depending on your business, you might not know all of these things. They may not always be the most important thing for you to know, but if you can start to collect data on it, do research on it, it will help you pull out sort of the intangible things about a person that will help you to have those ads that really stop someone from scrolling, have web pages that answer questions that come up without you having to go and ask all your staff, what do people ask? The next point is their pain points. What keeps them up at night? This ties to their psychographic details. And those details are the things that reflect a person's lifestyle, opinions, values, those things that really make up a person. They're very much personal things that you can speak to. And then the last thing is those objections and motivators. What makes them hesitate? What things do you commonly hear? And then what motivates them to take action? Is it about gaining satisfaction, safety, security? Once you get all of those things down that you do know, um, what you don't know is what you should start researching and, cataloging as you go. You can look at competitors and who they're speaking to get some ideas. You can use ChatGPT, Copilot. Um, you know, in bigger companies, a lot of times they do a lot of market research in this area, but we have a lot of tools at our disposal, even your Google Analytics data, your Mailchimp data, your Facebook Insights. You can pull little bits of that from all of these places. And it's certainly not something you build in one day. It's something that you build over time, and you keep iterating this as you test and find out more. So once you have some points down there, we'll move on to the behaviors. Now, people's behaviors matter a lot because you want to reach them in the way that they're searching, the way that they're using the internet, you know, utilizing the influences that they have. So, some things to ask yourself are what platforms do they spend time on? Is it Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn? Reddit is something that's really been on people's minds lately, partially because some of the AI has been trained specifically on Reddit. So, what comes up in an AI overview or in a ChatGPT answer could partially be sourced from that. And it's really made people think a little differently about some of that. And also Reddit has an audience that no one else tends to have. It's like 20% of people who aren't on, say, Facebook, Instagram, any of the common platforms. So that is something to think about. And then what key phrases, keywords do they search for? What do they go to Google or ChatGPT and ask? These are all the things that your potential customers use to describe their needs, their problems, their wants, their desires. Um, what influencers, that includes both humans as well as companies, publications, websites, do they follow? Do they read magazines? Is it someone on Instagram, YouTube that has an influence in their lives? Is it more about family stuff that's not on the internet, something that's personal to them? And the last one is, are there seasonal or life stage triggers that influence their buying decisions? Are they buying a house, having a child, retiring, um, going on vacation? While those things might not always be directly related to you, they are related to the behaviors, the things they buy, the things they do, and also the way you can target them across the internet. So it's important to gather as many of these facts as you can. And you can even ask people if you have a newsletter, you could send out a poll once in a while with something like, are you planning to take a vacation soon? And, what would be your favorite places to go to? And just make it like a seasonal fun thing, but you can gather information without being, creepy or anything like that. So let's go a little bit deeper into the emotional drivers that are behind making decisions. People don't just buy products, they buy transformation, they buy relief, pride, belonging. So on your worksheet, you want to ask yourself, what emotions drive your audience? Then tap into what that is. Is it frustration, fear, anxiety? People don't like to be uncomfortable. So a lot of what we do really is to steer away from discomfort and towards comfort. Anyone who's taken a psych class has probably heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and that's kind of where marketing starts. It's not necessarily where it ends. And, these are a couple of emotions on the slide, but there are micro emotions that go beyond that. If you look up how many emotions there are, you're going to get a lot of different answers, but it gives you a lot of food for thought. How do you talk to someone in a way that they want to be talked to, that helps them make a decision both logically and emotionally? Because as much as we want to be logical, we actually make decisions based on emotions. And one thing I encourage people to do is don't always go for the negative in your marketing. While negative can have quick wins, you have to think also about how you want your brand to be perceived. So, if you start a relationship in the negative, will that have negative effects for you? Because you can take the same emotion and you can turn it into a positive. If someone's afraid of something, give them how they don't have to be afraid instead of just buying into that fear. Think about the tone that works best. Is it bold, empathetic, aspirational? One thing I encourage a lot of my clients to do is use a little humor. No matter how deep and scary a subject, a little humor goes a long way when people are nervous, anxious, and sometimes the world is really serious. So having a little humor, like Wendy's on their social media, makes people remember them because, it's not always posting every single thing about the brand. It's about posting about life and aspirations too. Um, so I'm curious, Jocelyn, is there any sort of messaging, headline, emotion you've into in the past that's worked? Uh-oh. Can you unmute or are you not able to?
She's one of our co-hosts, but I think she might not be. I think she kind of just
Yep.
joined for a moment.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
here.
You're good.
I'm here. I'm actually
I just
just supporting from the Academy side. Yeah,
Okay,
in case there are any
cool.
questions from the ideas team.
Okay. Um, so we'll move on. Your funnel fit and offer alignment is where you take all those things that you've learned and you put them all together. So your offer needs to match not just your service, but what people are really looking for. A lot of times people try to start with these big offers. No one is buying a house before they see it. No one is getting married on the first date. So a lot of times you can't just show someone an ad, post on social media, and expect that the next action is the very action you want them to take. You can't send someone who signed up for a newsletter an email for a $20,000 product and just get sales. It's pretty much magic. If you do it that way, you really tapped into something most people don't if you can do that. But usually you have to have a series of micro offers, a little getting to know you, if you will. And that's where a funnel comes in with that offer. Uh, you have low friction and high ticket. So think about your low friction offers as things like free guides, quizzes, webinars. Service-based people, sometimes that low friction is the free quote where they get to see your product or service, find out how much it'll cost and what it entails. Those kinds of things are best for cold traffic, people who are at the awareness and research stage. If you have someone who's on your list regularly and they get to see all you have to offer, you've warmed them up so you can kind of move further down that funnel. But then, high ticket offers are things like premium services, done for you solutions, implementation, um, a website most of the time is a high ticket offer. I don't know. Most things really end up fitting into the high ticket offer, which is why, you can't marry someone in a day. You have to give them the information they need, warm them up, let them get to know you, and then, at the end, have that compelling offer that says, hey, let's do it now. But think about this while you're sketching those parts out. What is your unique selling proposition? What makes you different? What is the thing that someone has to have. It's so irresistible that they absolutely need it. Um, and then you need to very clearly express that and what's unique about it. People really need to see that you're something that they should put time, money, and effort into. And they need to understand how it solves a problem they have, whether it be, a cosmetic product that keeps you from having a shiny face or a service that helps someone get the job that they really want. It needs to be clear how you stand out from your competitors, why customers should choose you over the alternatives. And think about it as three things: specific benefits, what value does the customer get? Problem solving, how does it address the customer's need or pain point? How does it address that emotional part of it, not just the clear logical side? And then differentiation, what makes it unique or better than the competitors? And then, like I said, there's the low friction and the high ticket side. Make sure what you're asking for matches where they are in the funnel. Don't ask someone to spend $20,000 the first time they see an ad. And then think about this. Where do most of your leads drop off? Do you know what's turning them off? Can you A/B test to see if there's something better? And then think about your strongest proof. Is it testimonials, stats, case studies? What can you offer someone to give them proof that it's worth investing in you? Um, and all of these things help you diagnose the gaps and match your offer in the right audience at the right stage. It's really good to actually sit and draw some of this out so that when you see it on a page, you see, well, maybe someone doesn't really know that much about you, so you need to change which landing page they're going to. Or maybe they visit your website and then they need an email that offers a demo because the product has a lot of features and it might be confusing and they need just that touch to move them to the next step. So now you take all of the things that you've worked on in the workbook, and for the next 30 days, the best way to get started is start with one audience to define. Start with an audience to test, um, you can choose probably up to about three, depending on how much time you have. Start with something broad, and then get a little narrower as you're testing. Think about testing things like demographic targeting versus something that's more interest-based. If you're running ads, you can test some lookalike audiences you have against some demographics or psychographics. Think about how much budget, whether it be time or money that you allocate to this. Think about it like this. You should allocate the most budget to your strongest hypothesis, what you really know, probably about 70%, and then like 30% to testing. So you're never spending all of your money, all of your time in the place that's the, most experimental. And then you want to choose one emotional angle so that all of the marketing that you do is geared towards that emotional angle. Um, Try to pick the one that you think resonates the best with your ideal client and the current state they're in. lead with that emotion in your headlines, your imagery, and your copy. Make sure it all stays consistent across the touch points. So if you're doing an email, a landing page, and a follow-up, they all need to match. If you're doing an ad to a page and a sign up, those all need to match. It's really about having consistency through all of your touch points when you're talking to a single audience. And then if you are doing social media posting or if you're doing ads, then you want to think about one creative format to trial that you don't normally do. Video for storytelling and trust building, carousels to showcase features, comparisons, a quiz for engagement and data collection. Choose based on the platform, the funnel stage too. One thing that I have found lately is that if you're doing meta ads, carousels do really well. Sometimes they actually do better than videos. And if you do videos, make sure you always have really good captions because not everyone is always listening to the audio or in a place where they can listen to that audio. So you should always think about ways to accommodate everyone in order to get your message out there and not miss anyone. So this is my favorite part. It's hard to do all of this research even as a team because, audience research takes hours, days, weeks, but you can speed a lot of that up with ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, pick your favorite AI. I have some prompts here. And there are plenty across the internet too. But there's one for that psychographic deep dive, one for mining, the 5 objects someone would have before buying whatever. You want to identify barriers to purchase. Language patterns help you write ads, SEO, emails. The competitor analysis is super important. Now, just because someone does something doesn't mean that it's successful. If you have no way to measure its success, don't throw all of your eggs in the competitor's basket, so to speak. Use it to learn, not to shift your strategy in ways that may not help you. And then the content triggers, help it get some ideas on how to get someone's attention. Now, of course, disclaimer, don't just blindly use whatever any AI gives you. It hallucinates, it's wrong. Sometimes its statistics and references are old. So, ask for some statistics, some references, ask what resource it used so that you can dig into that, but this will help you to take, what could be enormous research and pare it down. On ChatGPT, if you look around at the different GPTs people have created, there are some pretty interesting marketing ones there that you can help use to get a little further. But at the same time, take what you know about your audience and your business and use that first because it can be a crutch as much as it can be a huge help. Um, so take a minute to reflect on the insights and what we talked about. The workbook, of course, has a wealth of information and definitions about all of the things that I discussed. So if there's a term you don't understand or you need a little bit more information, the workbook has all of that right there to help you. So just, take like 60 seconds to write down the single most valuable insight that you got from the workshop or, something that you really thought was important so that when you walk away later, you'll remember that. Think about what you might test first, what assumptions you'll challenge, especially if you have a whole marketing team and you don't always agree. Like, what are some talking points? What audience will you prioritize? Just take a second to jot it down so you don't forget it. Um, and then, it takes a little time to reflect on all of the information. So just to give you some key takeaways, because there was a lot of information there, your audience DNA determines your campaign success. Really, it's just investing time to dig deeper into customer research and to think about the someones and not the everyone's. As much as we're all afraid to narrow our focus, if we don't, then we really end up with marketing that doesn't speak to anyone, and wastes a lot of time, money, and effort. And then think about those emotional hooks that drive action. Choose one and commit to it across your entire funnel. Emotion is really what drives decision, even the things that seem like they should really be logical, well thought out decisions. If you don't get the emotional part, then people won't get to the decision that you hope they'll have. A really good example is home buying. People buy homes that they emotionally connect with. People often buy houses that have issues that they need to fix that they know are a problem, but emotionally they connect with it and they have to have it. And then, think about this as a melding of art and science. Test systematically your audiences, the emotional angles, and creative formats in controlled experiments. Don't test everything all at the same time. You won't know what worked and what didn't. And make sure that you give it time frames that make sense. 30 days is the minimum on most things. You need to have enough data to know what happened. A lot of times 90 days is the time frame to get really good data on something and make decisions. But take it from a scientific perspective, because if if you're not systematic and you don't look at the data, you'll make decisions that may negate what's going on. So, thank you. And you should have some actionable insights to get towards that ideal customer, and how to effectively reach them. And if you'd like help implementing this, or if you want a deeper audit, we can connect. I'd love to talk to you more about that and help you support your next campaign. And this is how you reach me. Email is really good at shirelyon.com. I answer the phone when I can, but feel free to text me. I'll definitely answer that. And you can always check me out at my website on shirelyon.com. So I hope you find this helpful.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Looks like you have some interest in the chat. Thanks so much. And yeah, reach out to
Good,
her, take a
thank you.
picture of this screen, or you can just directly email
Yep.
her now. Yeah, really happy to help there. And you did come in a little late, so thanks for joining. But I wanted to just a lot of the work that she was speaking on today was like building the ideal customer profile and kind of fitting that in within your business. So we will have the recording for you, and that way you can reference it back. And there's a fun workbook, so I'm excited to kind of
Yep.
have all the attendees that watch join in on that. So if there aren't any other questions, I think we'll adjourn. And thanks so much, Shire. And it was really great presentation.
Thank
I love
you.
it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, great. Take care.
You too. Bye bye.